This is the Word with G podcast. I'm your host, Greg Larnard. We're going to take a look at the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks, the NFC Championship Game, in which the Seattle Seahawks defeated the Green Bay Packers 28-22 in overtime. We're going to look at what went wrong in this matchup for the Green Bay Packers and what some are already calling the worst collapse in not just Green Bay Packer history, but NFL history. So let's first, before we look back at what went wrong, I want to give major props to the Green Bay Packers defense. Coming into this matchup, it was all talk about the Seattle Seahawks and their vaunted defense, and how good they were against the number one rated offense in the league. Green Bay Packers come out 4 interceptions of Russell Wilson. He looks pedestrian for 55 minutes of the game. 5 sacks. The defense stepped up big time. So now, let's get to what went wrong in this game. On the offensive end to begin with, in the first quarter, the Green Bay Packers had 2 4th-and-1s on the Seattle 1-yard line. The first one, okay, they go for a field goal. That's fine. I understand, Mike McCarthy, you want to get on the board. Good. You're up 3-0. You get an interception. You get right back down to the 1-yard line again, 4th-and-1, and you kick another field goal. At that point, you're up 3-0. I'd rather give my offense, my number 1 rated offense, an opportunity to punch it in from 1 yard than to be up just 6-0. You're already got a lead of 3-0, and I understand Mike McCarthy at the end of the game said, coming into this game, him and his team and his coaching staff, their mindset was there wasn't going to be a lot of points scored in this matchup, and points were going to be at a premium. So he thought, let me take them while they're there. Well, Mike, if you go for it there on the second 4th-and-1, you're already up 3-0. You give your team an opportunity to go up 10-0 at that point in the first quarter, demoralizing the 12th man. Maybe you're quieting him a little bit, but once they hold you to 4th-and-1 twice, that just gets to field goals. That gets the crowd more involved. That they're able to hold you to 2 field goals instead of a field goal and a touchdown, or a field goal or 2 touchdowns. I understand there's no guarantee that we're getting a touchdown on that second one either. But if you don't, you leave Seattle backed up at their 1-yard line. I understand it's early, but the first quarter, go for the throw. You have nothing to lose. You're not favored in this game. Put your foot on the gas pedal and go. Try to run over Seattle. Try to punch them right in the mouth. That's what I said the Green Bay Packers needed to do in the first game of the season. I had a good feeling they were going to come out and punch Seattle right in the mouth. They didn't. They got punched themselves. They had an opportunity to punch them right in the mouth early and knock them down. They didn't do it. They let them back up. So that was in the first quarter. Moving on, there was another 4th-and-1. Later on, I think it was in the second quarter, Green Bay had the ball at their 48-yard line. You're 4th-and-1. And I understand at this point, Packers are up 16-0. They already scored a touchdown on the next drive to Randall Cobb, and they're playing the field position battle. But at that time, step on their throat. You have a 16-0 lead. Get a yard. Pick up 1 yard. I understand that Aaron Rodgers, he can't get outside the pocket. You can't do the play action as much as you would like to. Have him extend the play, get outside the pocket. I get all that. But you've got Eddie Lacy. You've got John Kuhn. And you might even be able to sneak Aaron Rodgers through the pile. He did it to score a touchdown against Detroit. Why not try something like that? Surprise Seattle. Have some guts in your play calling. I understand you're up 16-0. The field goal, the field position, you want to punt it. Make them go the whole length of the field to score if they want to score. But in that spot, pick up a first down. Let Aaron Rodgers throw the ball. Give it to Eddie Lacy. Give it to John Kuhn on the inside fullback handoff. How many times has that worked for you this year? It's been a staple of our offense. And we really could have put the gauntlet down right there on Seattle and really stepped on their necks. If you go and you score on that possession, even if it is another field goal, you're up 19-0 at that point if you get another field goal. And Seattle's demoralized. But following that 4th-and-1 punt, Seattle goes right down. They get into field goal position. They line up at the field goal. And what do you know? They pulled a fake. A.J. Hawk was the only one back there. He had to play either the run or the pass. He decided to play the run. And John Ryan, the punter, did a great job passing it to Gilliam, one of the linemen who was eligible, in the end zone for the touchdown. And He happened to be a tight end in college at Penn State, so he could catch the football a little bit. But I don't put that one on the Packers or the defense. I put that one on Seattle. That's a great job, a great execution by the Seattle Seahawks to get points on the board. Pete Carroll, guts. Pure guts of that play call. You're down 16-0. You don't get that. That takes the crowd out of it, and that gives Green Bay a lot of momentum. But they executed it perfectly, able to get the 7 points, and got their fans and their team right back in the game. So start the fourth quarter. Richard Sherman gets an injury pushing James Starks out of bounds. Visibly hurting. Holding his elbow, holding his arm. He refuses to come out of the game. He's lined up there. You can see he's grimacing. He's got the face mask on. You can't see his mouth, but he is grimacing. You can tell he's in pain. He's holding that elbow up like this that he can't even move it. And Aaron Rodgers after the game said, "Hey, yeah, we knew he was hurting. Why don't you throw at him? You know he's not going to be able to jostle and exchange blows with Jordy Nelson. He was lined up with Nelson for a good part of that fourth quarter. Have Nelson make contact with him so he's in a little bit more pain. He's going to be out there. Do what you normally would do. That would put him in some pain if you're using your hands and you're pushing him around. I figure that's the best time you go at Richard Sherman when he's injured because he already picked you off earlier in the game. Had a pretty good play in the end zone. But he's hurt. Take advantage of it. And Mike McCarthy as a play caller should realize that and have them throw the ball at Richard Sherman. He's not going to be able to go up and contest a pass. He's not going to be able to hand check with Jordy Nelson because he physically would not be able to. So they don't throw at him at all in the fourth quarter. I think maybe once they threw at him. And then Morgan Burnett with 5:13 left gets the 4th interception of the game for the Green Bay Packers. And to me and everybody else, it looked like he had room to run, blockers in front of him. Instead, he slides down safely just before midfield. And he said at the end of the game he doesn't regret it. Julius Peppers was given the kill sign. Slide, give up, give yourself up, go down. At that point, you're up 19-7, 5:13 left in the game. You figure your offense is able to get on that field and run the clock down, pin them back if anything. And this game's going to be over. But what they do on the next possession after the interception, Eddie Lacy run for -4 yards. Eddie Lacy run for -2 yards. Eddie Lacy run for 2 yards. That's a net of -4 yards. And they used up a total of 64 seconds off the clock. So if you're doing the math, they've got a little bit more than 4 minutes to go still for the Seattle Seahawks to come back down. They score quickly. And then the onside kick happens. And Brandon Bostic. Seattle lines up. It's a high kick, right off the ground, goes right up in the air. Perfect kick by I think it was Hauska. And Brandon Bostic, a player. This is a classic example of a player in a big moment just trying to do too much, and that's how you know a team is ready to win. When everybody on the team understands their role and understands what job they play on every single possession. Not trying to do too much. In a classic case of Brandon Bostic just trying to do too much. He was in there to block. He hasn't played a lot this year because Richard Rodgers has stepped up at tight end, and so has Andrew Corliss. So Brandon Bostic has not played a big role in the offense so far this year. They put him on special teams to be a blocker. And they kick it right up to him, and he knows he has Jordy Nelson right behind him, one of the best wide receivers with the best hands on the team. And what does he do? He tries to make a play on the ball. Ball goes right through his hands, right off the helmet, and bounces safely right to a Seattle Seahawks. They get possession. They go down and score. They're up 20-19. And on the ensuing 2-point conversion, because if you go for one, if you just kick a field goal, it doesn't mean you no good. You're up by 2 points. So they go for 2. The Packers get great pressure again on Wilson. He's backpedaling. Finally, heaves one up to the left side of the end zone, and Luke Wilson and Clinton-Dix late getting there, but looks like he still could have made a play on the ball. Doesn't get there, doesn't knock the ball down. Luke Wilson goes in for the 2-point conversion. And they were calling it a Hail Mary 2-point conversion, and it really was. So they're up 22-19. Packers get the ball back. 1:25 to go. And before you know it, ding, dang, doom. Aaron Rodgers in field goal range. And at this point, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why do you not do this throughout the fourth quarter, pick up a couple first downs, you wouldn't even be at this point. You wouldn't even have to do that. But they get Mason Crosby in field goal range, a long field goal, 48 yards, and he knocks it through. Ever since 2012, his terrible year, Mason Crosby has been phenomenal. A big clutch kick there to send it into overtime. And the OT coin flip, the Packers go out there, call tails, it's heads, and in my head, I knew this game was over. And 35 yards later on a pass down the middle to Jermaine Kearse, over Tramon Williams, it was over. Seahawks win it 28-22. And the football gods, what else can you say? We're with Seattle. And my buddy Sean Marash, who works at CBS Sports Network, put on Facebook, and I don't think he could have put it better. He said, I wonder if God is going to spend any time watching the Colts and the Patriots tonight, because he spent so much time in Seattle during the day. I thought that was perfect, because everything that could have gone wrong for the Packers at the end of the game there went wrong. And anything that could have gone right for Seattle, it broke exactly the way they needed it to. They won the game. Hats off to Seattle. They made the plays when they needed to, but they should not have won that football game. There's no way they should have deserved to win that football game. So who's to blame in this situation for Green Bay? I've already said it's not the defense. I'm not putting any blame on the defense because they let up a couple of touchdowns towards the end of the game there. If the offense was able to stay on the field and run the clock down, you would have never had to put your defense in that position. They played great all day long. 4 interceptions, like I said, 5 sacks. They were getting pressure on Russell Wilson, making him uncomfortable, not letting Marshawn Lynch kill you until the end. And I put this one on the offense and basically the play calling, much like Aaron Rodgers did. Very, very, very conservative. I understand you coming into the game thinking conservatively, got to get points on the board. But once you get into the flow of the game, Mike McCarthy, and I love you, Mike. I love you. I think you're a great coach. And Dom Capers, I thought if you had a bad game and you couldn't contain Russell Wilson in the running game, you would have to go. But you did a great job with your defense, disguising different blitzes, disrupting Russell Wilson and the Seahawks and what they wanted to do. But I put this one on Mike McCarthy. You have to change your play calling depending upon the flow of the game, and you didn't. You didn't. You didn't put your foot down on their throat when you had a chance. You let them up. You gave them a glimmer of hope, and that's all they needed. The football gods did the rest. So the Seattle Seahawks are moving on to the Super Bowl to face the New England Patriots, and they beat the Packers 28-22. And like I said, which just seems to be the worst loss in not just Packer history, not just Cheesehead history, but NFL history. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the Green Bay Packers respond coming into the 2015 season. 2015-2016. It's going to be very interesting how they respond next year. They always usually start off slow. They have to get on that roll. They have a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. Aaron Rodgers in the prime of his career. He can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing moving forward. And they almost beat the Seahawks. They should have beat the Seahawks with Aaron Rodgers on 1.5 legs. And he was even scrambling. He was giving everything he had in that game. He scrambled for a first down one time, or I should say he hobbled for a first down one time. But it's going to be very interesting. This is a very traumatic loss for a very storied franchise. It'll be very interesting to see how they rebound from it next year. But hopefully Mike McCarthy can take this as a learning experience and move forward and not let it happen again. You can't play to lose. If you play to lose, you're going to lose the game. If you play not to lose, you're going to lose the game. You have to play to win the game. He didn't do that. So this is the Word with G podcast. I'm your host, Greg Larnard. You sit back and listen, and I'll explain. We'll catch you next time.